Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you, bad boys? Well, Deborah, we had a little excitement recently.
Something to do with some bad boys?
Well, bad boys and maybe some bad girls, I don't know. Folks, want to welcome you to the show. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
As we've stated before on our show, and I'd like to reiterate something, of 19 items that was in FBI subpoenas, we did 19 shows covering each one of those.
We're 19 for 19.
we're batting 1,000. You know, Deborah and I put this little thing together well into our third year. One of the sole purposes was to root out evil and corruption.
Yeah. And entertain people.
And we want
usually using the same subjects.
yeah, it's it is something else, folks. If you didn't see it in the news, Three Rivers Conservation, another one of those organizations that feast at the trough of state and state grants. Definitely, I don't know if there's any federal grants involved in this, but
I call them grant writing machines.
Grant writing machines. They do watershed kind of issues, work on drainage issues, kind of on the agricultural side of things, and apparently, and folks, I'm gonna tell you one of the members of the state attorney's office that participated in this was a fellow by the name of Russ Edgar. And I am fortunate enough to know Mr. Edgar, and I've also been fortunate enough to watch his 30-year career. Folks, let me just tell you this: if your doorbell rings and you open the door and Russ Edgar is standing there, if I was you, I would immediately begin my plea bargain, because he is not going to waste his time coming to your house unless he's got you lined up for 5 years in the state penitentiary. Okay, this is a guy who does not play, and like I said, I'm proud to say that I know him, because you know, folks, he actually went behind the FBI in Okaloosa County, and he got more total prison time than the FBI got in the Okaloosa County Sheriff's issue.
Yeah,
and
at the state level.
So apparently, Mr. Edgar, along with some other folks at the state attorney's office, this was kind of a state attorney taking the lead. Mr. Edgar, FBI. Several departments involved. The sheriff's departments in each of the counties that they were operating were on standby, and of course in the city of Milton, the Milton City Police Department also participated, because one of the offices is downtown Milton on Willing Street. We have learned some things about them, and look, I want you to understand, I'm not saying if this is right or wrong, but a previous president of the Three Rivers organization, they used taxpayer money and built a butterfly house at his private residence, and
that's according to the investigation.
According to the investigation, and apparently there has been maybe some
that's allegedly, according to the investigation,
questionable handling of the money and all that, and apparently that's why
allegedly
why Mr. Edgar has moved in on this. And as I've said many times before, I wish Mr. Edgar luck in his search for the truth. We've also learned that there's about somewhere in the neighborhood of about $21 million worth of grant dollars that has passed through that organization. So, target-rich environment. You know,
yeah.
To be quite honest with you, folks, look, they were on my radar, but there's so many other fish in the bucket that we've taken time to look at and to and to study, that they were kind of down on my list.
We'd have gotten to them eventually.
I will have to admit, I was kind of shocked that $21 million had went through there.
Yeah.
Looking at their webpage, I didn't see $21 million worth of work.
You don't hear a lot about them in the news. I mean, they're not out there. You don't hear,
Right.
oh, we did this week and this, that and the other
Right.
thing.
And one of the important things that I think we should point out is that in each county that they were operating, they had a representative member from the elected board of county commissioners was on their board. And we have learned that Bob Cole had a stint on the board, and now Commissioner Don Salter is currently on the board, and Kevin White from Escambia County is also a board member. Of course, he was reported in the Pensacola News Journal that he hadn't been to a meeting in 3 years, so don't talk to me about it. But look, folks, hey, the more the merrier. My hat's off to Mr. Edgar and the team that's working on that, and I wish him well.
And it's the same question every time. Where did the money go?
Yeah,
It's a simple question.
It's it never fails, folks. That Deborah likes to say, "Where are the jobs?" Well, in this case, we'll say, "Where are the projects at, and where's the accounting for it?"
Yeah, where's the money?
Yeah, and over and over and over, folks. Lack of oversight. Team Santa Rosa, Florida's Great Northwest. Here we are, Three Rivers. Here's an organization that's been working right here in our community for years, and so
Yeah.
I certainly don't know at this time what may occur, but I would like to reiterate.
We're concerned about what the investigation has uncovered thus far. We're interested in seeing what their final conclusions will
Right.
be.
Right, and as I've said before, if Russ Edgar takes the time to fill out a sheet of paper, you can rest assured he's not going to let it go.
Yeah.
And we wish him the best, and also in the print media, for anybody who's watching our show, they put in the newspaper stories. Should you have any information regarding the Three Rivers organization, by all means call the state attorney's office and ask to speak to Mr. Russ Edgar, because they're in the process of the complete investigation now.
Yeah.
So it's
And we'll keep an eye on that.
yeah, we'll keep an eye. I think Deborah, we're going to have to start keeping a scorecard.
Spreadsheet?
Yeah, a spreadsheet on all of this. Now, just to refresh your memory, Santa Rosa County has received 2 FBI subpoenas. Team Santa Rosa has received 3 FBI subpoenas. Team Santa Rosa has a $5 million lawsuit. And now we have a multi-jurisdictional raid that occurred, simultaneous raid at 6 locations all at the same time has occurred. So
With Three Rivers. Yeah.
with Three Rivers. So kind of like I think some folks, I'm reminded of the hornet's nest. If you leave it alone, the hornets will just kind of stay there. But apparently someone has picked up a stick and
Yeah.
swung at the hornet's nest, and we have awakened apparently every level of law enforcement that I'm aware of.
It's about
The U.S.
time.
Attorney, the U.S. Justice Department, the FBI, now the state attorney. There's even some state Office of Financial Accountability, I think, was even involved in this Three Rivers stuff. So
when you mess with federal grants, you open yourself up to
Right.
that potential.
A lot of times you hear Deborah and I say that we're really concerned about how our tax dollars is spent. Well, in this case, I'm very happy to make a donation to the FBI, to the Justice Department, to the U.S. Attorney's Office, to pay the salaries of the folks at the State Attorney's Office. I think return on investment.
Yeah, right. Return on investment. That's an economic development.
And yeah, look, I wish them all the best of luck. Folks, if you know anything about Deborah and I, and if you've watched any number of our shows, you know that we have been howling about this stuff for years. Even before we had this show, we were howling about the use of grant dollars and the accountability and things of that nature. And all I can say is I wish them all the best of luck.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of accountability, I have become, well, I don't know if obsessed is the right word, but along the lines of accountability, and folks, we've talked about it before, it's an organization called Florida's Great Northwest.
It's another economic development agency.
Right.
Public-private.
Just showed up out of nowhere. Apparently, the state had something to do with setting them up.
And it's regional, so there's no one particular government.
It's regional. It has multiple heads, so it's hard to kill the head of the snake.
Yeah.
They cover 16 counties, and I asked for an accounting of their books about 10 months ago, and as usual, and you know, to the management of Florida's Great Northwest and Mr. Kirkman specifically, I enjoy all the ridiculous things that you send to me in the mail. I actually get a big kick out of it. I've asked and asked and asked and asked, and would like to point out that Senator Don Gates and Representative Coley went to the previous Attorney General and gave a certain set of facts to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General ruled that, well, Florida's Great Northwest doesn't have to abide by the Sunshine Law.
Yeah, made it sound as if they weren't subject. In fact, I think Gates actually basically said shouldn't be subject to Sunshine Law.
What I didn't know at
after he was trumpeting to the public that he was a big champion of Sunshine Law.
Right. What I didn't know at that time was that the majority of their funding came from the federal government. So I didn't make a sunshine request to them. I made a Freedom of Information request to them. And very, very interesting. I got this nice, pretty letter, you know, look, nice letterhead. Got a business card and all that. And I'm going to read part of it to you. This is from Mr. Kirkman. I am not an expert in the Freedom of Information Act, but the U.S. DOL, Department of Labor representative with whom I spoke, said that Freedom of Information requests were applicable only to federal agencies and not to the grantees. So the federal government is even sideways in this too. They're not helping the situation.
That's nothing new. We asked many months ago for information on the grants received for part of the Maritime Park.
Right.
And we're still waiting for the Department of the Treasury
exactly.
to fulfill that request.
Now, what I did get, now I've asked repeatedly, folks, for the accounting of the $15 million that was spent. And so the first pass, and this is a new employee over here. Here's the first pass, folks. Here's the explanation of the wired. You know, and I looked through this, and it's a beautiful book.
It's quite shiny.
It's quite shiny. It's all glossy pages and everything, but there's not an accounting in here. I even when I got this, Florida's Great Northwest wanted me to go to the federal government and ask for the dollars, and my response was, you had to fill out documentation to secure the grant. You required reports to the federal government. Surely you have those reports. Well, Mr. Kirkman responded to me and said that we've changed personnel and we've changed accounting software. So I sent him an email back and I said, folks, if you watch this show, I'm just pretty plain spoken.
Nobody knows how to put a report together with the new accounting software.
I sent him an email and I said, "Dear Mr. Kirkman, the dog ate my homework defense is not going to work on this one." And once again, I was told, well, we embrace transparency and we embrace accountability, but once again, all I've gotten is this pretty little book. So I hammered them again, started at them again, and I got another report. See, another nice report, and I guess they decided. But here's what's funny about this report, folks. Line A says we got $2 million. Line B says we spent $2 million. Line C says there's no money left. On the next page of the report, we received $5 million, we spent $5 million, and there's no outstanding balance. Next page of the report, we received $5 million, we spent $5 million, no balance left. We received $2.5 million, we spent $2.5 million with no balance. Now there's a pitiful little, there's a few pages of accounting here, but folks, what I want to know, and it's real simple to understand. I want copies of the checks of everyone who received some of this $15 million. Now, looking over the report, ballpark numbers, this organization spent close to $1 million overseeing this grant. Want
they spend it on?
Yeah, what they spend it on, and for goodness sakes, why you want to keep wrestling with me about it? And you know, to the management of Florida's Great Northwest, I really hate to break this to you, but you really should go back and read the FBI subpoenas again. I think you'll find your name in there. It doesn't say Florida's Great Northwest, but it says information documentation concerning the wired grant, which this is the argument, folks. The $15 million that was spent. I can tell you this: I saw PR firms hired with this money. I saw hotel rooms rented. I saw salaries. I saw a lot of big checks written. But
did you see any jobs?
Hadn't seen any jobs. I do know
other than the ones created with the.
I do know that Gulf Power got $389,000 to train their employees.
That's charming.
While a member of Gulf Power was sitting on the board.
Yeah. So they're getting tax dollars, and yet they're a privatized monopoly that's supposed to be using the market to keep our electricity rates at some kind of fair level.
You know, look, in here, dear Florida's Great Northwest, here's the bottom line. You can tell me how you spent the money. You can put it in a reasonable format. You can list the companies or the individuals directly who got it. And either you're going to give it to me, or either the FBI is going to get it from you.
The FBI's already asked Team Santa Rosa about it.
I think it'd be a whole lot less painful if you just go ahead and give it to me.
Yeah.
But hey, you want to keep putting me off? Here's my final message to Florida's Great Northwest. I worked 6 years to bring Team Santa Rosa into the Sunshine Law. This is less than a year right now. If you don't think I'm not going to hang on to this thing and come after you every direction that I can, you're wrong. You have misjudged me.
Well, the other thing is that's just the disposition of this wired grant. We also need to know where the rest of the tax dollars are.
We don't know what other monies they got.
Yeah, exactly.
My suspicion is that there was probably some state dollars that went to them also. But since Senator Don Gates and Representative Coley run telling their side of the story and get a ruling that they don't have to follow the Sunshine Law, well, the FBI is going to know.
Yeah.
I might not ever know, but if there was state dollars intermingled there, it'll come out.
Yeah, I mean, since the FBI has specifically named this grant in a subpoena, I mean, you would think they would be getting the information together, it might not be a bad idea. It sounds like they're going to need it.
You know, look, Deborah, I realize I'm nobody. You know, I'm just a fuzzy little fella who asks questions from time to time. But
you're not an economic development expert.
But the one thing that I will say, starting 8 years ago, if the people that I became interested in, had they have done the right thing, they wouldn't have multiple subpoenas hanging over their head right now.
Yeah.
You know, want to ignore me? That's fine. I wish them the best of luck in ignoring the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Justice Department, the FBI, and a sundry of other organizations.
Well, see, now their perspective is that you're just against good-paying jobs.
Apparently. So, we'll see how it works out. Well, we want to move on to something, and this will be a reoccurring theme here at Santa Rosa Week TV. Jeff Miller, your congressman, has thrown you under the bus again, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we get into how he threw you under the bus this time, we're going to reiterate how he threw you under the bus the last time. The NAFTA bill had passed, and if you will all recall, a certain person running for president, Ross Perot, said that there was going to be a giant sucking sound in America, and he was 100% correct.
Of the jobs going down
the jobs.
Yeah.
That wasn't good enough for these New World Order people that we have in Washington, D.C. They decided to go ahead and do the CAFTA agreement, which is the Central America Free Trade Agreement. Okay? Now, the folks, you and I, had raised enough sand at that time that our politicians knew it was going to be a difficult vote. They didn't realize how difficult it was going to be, though. The U.S. House of Representatives were tied for and against CAFTA. They called a recess of about 3.5 to 4 hours, and when they took the floor again to complete their vote, your congressman, folks, let me say this again, your congressman, he's not my congressman, I've never voted for him, I have absolutely no use for him, but your congressman, the one that keeps getting reelected by 70 and 80% margins, your congressman, not my congressman, he was the deciding vote in the CAFTA. So now we have another giant sucking sound.
Yeah.
Again.
And let me just put it, I say it every time, I'll push it till the end of time. These trade agreements allow foreign corporations to sue American governments, in other words, we the people, our local representative governments. If they don't like some policy we have, they think interferes with their profits, they can sue us. It doesn't go to a legitimate court. It goes to a secret tribunal, the NAFTA ones in Canada. The public can't attend. And they basically sue for lost profits. And if they win, your government has to pay them.
And then do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Folks,
so much for American sovereignty, you know.
Folks, here's what I have to say. Now Jeff Miller, for the second time, has now voted for another free trade agreement.
3 more.
3 more.
3 more.
3 individual.
Korea, Panama, and Colombia.
Right. And
Korea is going to be the worst.
In case the folks watching, in case you haven't grasped this yet, Jeff Miller needs to be run out of town on a flaming stick. All right? He has done absolutely nothing but with these free trade agreements, and now he's up to a total of 4 now that he's voted in favor for. He's done nothing but give away the sovereignty of the United States of America. And I'll tell you, you know, they can spin it any way they want to in Washington, D.C. When they get elected, they put their hand on the Bible, they raise their right hand, and they swear to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. For that alone, Jeff Miller needs to be run out on a rail out of town. But I'll tell you this, folks. I don't know what's going to happen in 2012. I understand he's going to run for re-election. But I can tell you this. Jeff Miller will not get there with my vote, any of my family's votes, and anybody else that I can convince to vote against him. I've just had enough of him. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever should you consider exercising your vote for him. He's done it to you over and over. Do it to me once, shame on me. Do it to me twice, you know, shame on you. Then do it to me twice, shame on me. All right, over and over and over. All right, we got about 2 minutes. Let's hit the pass.
Very quickly, Commissioner Santa Rosa County talking about they want to put this Navarre Pass in. It's very unpopular. There's a million reasons against it. The cost, it will destroy the sound ecology. It'll destroy the beach on the western side. It'll erode it away. They've had trouble every time they've brought this up. So now somebody is finagling with somebody within the Eglin system will use their federal power to bypass local and state process on this and the wishes of the public and basically just stick it on there. And it's just outrageous. He's bypassing their authority, abusing their authority like this to bypass the will of the public.
What we have, or what was on the agenda, this discussion at a recent county commission meeting was, and they have made it, the commissioners have made it clear up front that no Santa Rosa County local tax dollars will go to this thing.
At the moment.
At the moment. But it is simply saying, yes, we support a study being done on it.
Right.
So it will, I would envision that it will be in the hands of the federal government.
Sure.
They will take a look at it. And
again, completely bypass the local public, the state process, local process, and hide it basically on the military side of the fence, right next to where the state park is in Navarre, where we'll have no say. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. And they've got this specious argument now. Oh, we can use the pass for some kind of Eglin mission, which is I think ridiculous. They've never needed it before.
But this going to be a 5-year process, so we will report back to you as soon as there's more to report. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for watching. Good night.